Clash Clans Podcast, special episode 28. And I'm back with Natalia. Everybody get it right. We are back talking about all things Clash Clans. Natalia is leader of Kent Farmhouse.
Yep.
Fantastic human being.
Thanks.
Empress of the Kryptonian family, as I like to refer to her.
Yay.
I think she keeps the families humming along pretty nicely. And I think it was pretty evidenced today in the KFAM chat where you asked one question and so many people chimed in.
Oh, it was like 40 different responses.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
I was thankful for that because I won that bet with my friend. So actually we had...
And it was, do you wear a watch? I'll explain
kind of what happened. Yeah, it was... we were talking about gamers because we were at work and we were talking about if gamers wear watches. And she was like, yeah, hardcore gamers always have watches because they're into technology. And I'm like, I mean, that makes sense, but I'm not sure that's true. And I said, let me hop on line chat. And so I sent out a message and so I got a lot of no's.
All of us nerds chimed in. And Nat won.
I did.
Obviously.
I did.
Because Nat was... I think far and away what we're going to talk about, which Boneyard didn't really get to because it was the push. So the last episode that was up was Boneyard and I arguing about the push and the rules.
I heard.
And so Nat was there when all this stuff went down. We got to hash it out. And so what we did was we really decided that we wanted to do a push, but we didn't want to have to leave the families.
Right.
And so we had kind of planned on it for a while, like the 9th through the 12th of March. And
9th through the 15th.
9th through the 15th, yeah. Mm-hmm. Clan perks came along.
Right.
During that time. And it was I think it was a little chaotic. Everything was kind of, what does this mean?
Yeah, and the push kind of got pushed back into the kind of background because we were so busy trying to figure out all of the details of the clan perks and,
Yeah, and then warring to get it. And
right.
And so, but people in L kept saying, when's the push? When's the push? And so I don't think they really got, the background. And so I said, well, should we still do the push? And we worked out the details and figured out the handicap so that way everybody in the family could participate. And of course, Boneyard comes along and looks at the rules and finds the loophole.
Right.
But so we were making adjustments till the very end.
I can't blame it.
No, I mean, if you really are looking at like winning, losing in those terms,
right?
Of course, you're gonna to do that. But the whole point of it was to get a lot of people working together, have the first ever push, test out these algorithms, the handicaps, because I think next time it will be crafted a little bit better. Like who we're gonna do has to definitely be hardcore pushing,
right?
And
I think the next time we may even open a push clan like we did the last time.
Yeah.
It was just the only reason we didn't do it this time was because clan perks and everybody was either in a war or wars were starting and it was just a little too much at the time to ask, 50 Kryptonian members to come over to a completely different clan and not just any 50 members, but basically 50 of the top people. Kryptonian members, everybody's Town Hall 10s and 9s and 8s. And
because even one star, even though as little as one star on each base from those families, that's going to be 100 XP points.
Yeah.
For everybody that's there, if they're going to put that first star on there.
Right.
So we came, and I think our idea was really cool.
I think it was solid. Sure.
Yeah. Now we know, and I went back and changed the rules on the website for Boneyard.
Yeah. So now for the next time.
Yeah. For the next time, it is 5 minimum participants. Because he kept looking at the website and said, you didn't change it on the website. You didn't. And we had already started. The rules were the rules, like so. And I think we explicitly really worked on the rules because I knew that if we didn't have them laid down, that Boneyard would do what Boneyard does. But he did it anyway. So it was an awesome. It was a grueling week. It was. It was interesting. People were really working together in L.
Same thing in Kent. It was crazy. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
You guys won.
We did.
You totally blew out the water. Why don't you talk about where you went to? Because it was really fantastic.
So I am at the end of the push. I ended up at 3,613 trophies after a 1 trophy loss.
Yeah, oh my
for
God.
a shield.
So now, when did you start pushing?
I started. I pretty much was at, I would say 2,600 is about exactly where I started the day the push started.
That
so
Tuesday.
On the 9th, I was at 2,600.
Okay, and I know that once I think when I looked at it when Eggley, Boneyard was going to put Eggley in there, you were below.
Oh yeah, I was. I don't even think I may have been in Masters 3.
And I think part of what is really amazing about your push is that you are not an old Town Hall 10.
No. No. I am. I wouldn't say I'm a new Town Hall 10 either. I'm kind of an in-between, things are upgrading and, I don't have maxed Inferno Towers. I don't have maxed Wizards Towers. My heroes are at 15 and 13, I believe. My king is 15. My queen is 13. So really, when you get high up there in champions, those heroes don't do anything for you.
Yeah.
On defense at all.
Except for just show up.
Yeah.
And maybe cause some problems.
Yeah, maybe take out one wizard before the level 40 queen comes in and one shots your king dead.
Oh my God.
Just forget about it. So, I'm really not a super crazy Town Hall 10. I wasn't winning any defenses past probably M2, Masters 2.
So what was your process then? Because, we talked a while ago. This was before our first push. Mm-hmm. I had never been to champs.
Right.
To the Champion League. You gave really great advice, you and Brock.
Thanks.
And T-Skits also. And, I learned a lot from that. And then, the idea of next, just hit next until you find. What was your process like doing that?
It was a little different, to be honest, because the first time I went to Champions to Town Hall 9, it was next a lot, always be sniping, which I definitely still stand by that advice.
Right.
But this time I didn't have as much time on my hands. I was really busy at work. I would come home and I was really busy with home life. And so I really would only have, maybe 1 2-hour push session. And then I would have to wait, for the night to come and wait till my troops were done and hope that somebody would snipe me. But it was really just making sure I had all my spells, all my heroes. My troops were all ready, and I would do 1 boost session, and I would be looking for bases that offered me more than 20 cups. So I would absolutely not attack any base that offered me anything less than 20 cups. If it wasn't a snipe, if it was a snipe, I'm like, I'm going to take the snipe, no if I get 1 cup from it, I don't care.
Right. Because you get that loot too, which is wonderful.
Which is super nice.
Oop.
Phone call.
Yep. No, that was just a text.
Oh, okay. But yeah, anything less than 20 cups, I would not attack because it's just, it's not worth my time, basically.
Because you only have a finite amount of time. And I think, and part of the discussion was before the push, do we go below the trophy limit or below our handicap and then climb up? And we kind of said, it's the clan perks started. And I think we kind of had a consensus that people wouldn't really want to drop and they might not climb.
Yeah, and then you're almost like punishing the people that are
pre-pushing.
So I know there were a few people in L that were pre-pushing. There were a few people in Kent that were pre-pushing. So yeah, it almost made more sense to just say, hey, you have to be above 2,600 or whatever your handicap was. Yeah. And then whatever you get above that, it will be considered,
And so, like, looking at that week then, because we all are, busy and it's hard to, like, trophy push because you have to balance the, if you're not getting defensive wins, like, I didn't really. I mean, I did at certain points. There was a couple, like, times where I got one and you convinced me to, like, where you were at and how you had your town hall outside. Mm-hmm. I ended up doing that, and that actually helped a lot because I would get taken for like -1 or -3, and then I could sit down for a session. But you're really limited by, and I really think you're limited by your spell factory.
You really are, and I wish they would just let you
queue
them up. I don't even care if they change the time, like leave the time, but allow me to queue up 8 spells or whatnot. So when I'm gone, those spells can kind of be cooking because those suckers take so long.
Yeah, because your heroes, even when you go out looking, your heroes are recharging. So if you don't come back to your base, all your troops are going, all of your stuff. And actually what I kind of thought would be the better idea, instead of, I've always been thinking, spell queuing, is a second spell factory.
Yeah.
I mean, really, what it does is drops the time in half almost, but you could have those queued up, kind of like your barracks.
Right.
And, even it's like I only gemmed one barrack usually because, and that was for the pig dogs.
Right.
Because I still had to wait on spells.
Right. Yeah, I was doing two regular barracks for balloons because I was taking 24 balloons. I was just doing simple Lalunian. So 24 balloons, 2 pig dogs, 30 minions.
Okay.
And then 2 freeze, 3 rage.
Okay.
And that's what I was taking with me, and I could generally 50% or 2-star the majority of the bases that I was looking at. But again, once you get past, and I'm going to say about 3,400 trophies.
Okay.
And I talk about the unicorn, that one base that you come across that's like not supposed to be there, the Town Hall 7 and Champions or whatnot. And it's like a 32 cup offer. And, you can't even like believe your eyes. You're just, you're so used to nexting and you almost next past it, but you don't. The unicorn above 3,400 really becomes that base that's worth 20 plus trophies. Cause the majority of the offers I saw were 4 cups, 5 cups, 6 cups, maybe 8 cups on occasion.
See, and I didn't quite hit that because I hit 34.25 was my top, I believe, or somewhere right in there. And it was like, what do I want to say? It was, minus 11 was, or 11 was pretty much, I was starting to hit C
Standard.
just constant that. Mm-hmm. But I could see that going up, and why the town hall outside then becomes so valuable, because if you're nexting at, you're going for 4,000 cups, and there's only one trophy available or a few trophies available, you just take that snipe and not risk your army on anything else.
Right.
I mean, you could get the loot, but at that point, it's like loot doesn't. I mean, the what you get from the town hall. It's not about
loot. Yeah.
Yeah, what you get from the town hall, just taking the 1 star, is more valuable. It's just okay. I'll go waste an army. I don't have to do 2. I could get 2 attacks for 1.
Right. Exactly. I'm not wasting an army. I'm not wasting my boost on 1 trophy. And then I have to log off and pray that somebody snipes me, and pray it's not like the unicorn Town Hall 7 that's at 4,000 cups and is about to take 15 trophies from me for a snipe.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And that's where the league bonuses really come in. So if you're like a Town Hall 7 or you've started playing the game, you're a Town Hall 6, getting up there, I think that's when the league bonuses you can live off of. I mean, with your armies, mostly.
Absolutely.
I mean, because if you just take the 50%, or you get the town hall and you don't get that much loot, you get you hit champ, you're getting 180k of both, which is a really decent raid normally.
Right, and a crazy amount of DE.
Yeah, and like everybody's got tons of dark elixir.
Oh, and dark elixir is. It was pouring out. Like, I just could not. I almost was just gonna put my dark elixir out by my town hall and be like, take the dark elixir, take the town hall, and leave me alone. When the funny thing is when we would do pushes with the Bad Rabbits, the leader of the Bad Rabbits, Princess Pants, called her dark elixir storage her elevator. Because she said if she sits in Crystal and she puts her dark elixir storage out and leaves her town hall in, she goes, I'll wake up in the morning in Masters too.
Oh, wow.
She calls it her elevator because people will just take her dark elixir and leave.
Wow. So, that would be really interesting to do, just to get the, and I talked with the Phantom about it, Matt, about the defensive trophies, like that achievement, like trying to get that achievement, baiting your base with something like that. Because I was taking it on the way down. I was like,
oh yeah, if somebody had it out,
yep, I don't
I'm
care about
losing trophies anyway.
Yeah, like I'll just take that. And then one guy went and trapped his dark elixir, and I was like, oh, you did not just do that. And that's when it occurred to me that I'm not going to take 40% of those bases. If you've got your dark elixir outside and you trap it, I'm going to leave it at 30. Like I think I failed on the attack just because it caught me by surprise. Mm-hmm. But I was getting really close to 40%, and I was watching my king. I'm like, wait a second. I'm not going to give this guy the 40.
No,
Somebody
don't
else,
give him.
Come along and take it.
Yeah, don't give him the shield.
Oh, so that was my town hall rage. But it was, and that was like a fundamental rule on the push was, a lot of people just respected the town hall thing.
They do. You get high up there, and it's funny because I notice a lot of times, and when I'm down in Crystal or Gold or whatever it is, I'll have my town hall out because I'm a perpetual farmer. So I just, town hall stays out, loot stays in the middle, and what happens. Most people snipe me. Some people take the town hall and then go all out. And that happens a lot when I'm down in Gold, because they want my dark elixir. If I have more than 60k, I'm like constantly a target.
Yeah. Exactly.
Or if I have 3 or 4 million gold or elixir, I see people take the town hall and then send in all their entire army. But in Champion, I don't. That never happened to me. If I had my town hall out, I had a snipe. It was not.
And that's a good way to play it up. I think up there, and Oh yeah, and if you saw, like especially like a TH9 or an 8 trap their town hall, it was like, oh buddy.
It's on. It's you. And I had that. It was funny. I had a town hall 9 in Champions, and it was, the funny thing is it wasn't even like a super good town hall 9 with the, nice air defenses and high level. It had like level 4 air defenses, and I had my entire army, and I was like, okay, I'll just snipe him, because it was 30 trophies, and I was like, 10 trophies just to drop my queen and some loot, please, I'll take it all day. And then the Tesla pops up, and I went, wrong move, buddy. Like, why would you trap your town hall when you have like level 4 air defenses in Champions?
It's like, I don't know how you got up there with like losing defenses that bad.
Because there's no way that people are just gonna go, trap town hall, let me just take out the town hall and the Tesla. Yeah. Everybody gets pissed and just sends in everything. Because at that point you might as well. You're gonna lose your queen, king, or whatever. The
difference is I think like with a town hall 9 or like a town hall 8 especially, or even a 10, like a 10 trapping. But it's like the difference between feeding the sharks from the boat and then strapping the meat to your chest and jumping in the water.
Right.
Jaws, right? And it's like, boom. And it's like the light bulb comes on, and I'm just like, I can't. You're just so baffled by it. Like, what? And then you just send it all in. And, I'd smash it without using my spells a lot of the time.
Yeah, no spells. And you're like, that was fantastic.
Yeah. I'm like, I'm not going to use a spell. I'll just wreck them as much as I can. And, generally that's not like, I'm not like cutthroat when I'm like normally playing, but man, does it like change your perspective after like you try to push and
it's so funny because you're up there and somebody traps their town hall, be it a 10, a 9, an 8, whatever it is, and your blood kind of boils. Like, I get kind of mad. I'm like, what are you doing?
Teslas?
All right,
really?
Yeah. I was like, fine,
Yeah, I threw a whole army at one guy, even though I only took part of. I don't even think I got the 1 star from his TH, but I didn't get the 2 stars at all.
Oh yeah, it's not even about stars at that point. Yeah. It's just about like, I want to find all the traps. Yep. I want to blow up as much crap as I can.
Where's your heroes?
I don't even care. My heroes?
No, I mean like that's what.
Yeah, like where are your heroes so I can take them out?
Yep.
Right.
I'm gonna leave everybody dead. Your clan castle empty, and yeah, it's just, I know, it's like, never in the game does my blood really boil, except for now, like that, especially in pushing. It's like, whew, but yeah, that changed everything once it did. So you ended up at 36.
13, I think, after I was at 36-14. Was the highest I went, and then I had a -1. I had a snipes.
So so Kent Farmhouse was pushing to
the push at 30.
Oh, sorry, what was that?
No, go ahead.
Oh, you just broke up there for a second. So Kent Farmhouse was pushing. How was the atmosphere over there? I think you guys had less people pushing, but you guys won overall. Yeah. I mean, you guys just did fantastic.
We had, there ended up being 12 of us pushing. But the atmosphere was really fun. Everybody trying to get on to Champions, everybody sharing replays, everybody donating troops. And, we had our top troop donator, Magnus, before we went over to the Quick Push clan, had 9,295 troops donated.
Wow.
And we had over 15 people in the clan, over 5,000 troops donated.
Wow.
In general. So it was, everybody was on, everybody was chatting, everybody was talking, and we ended up with 6 people in champions.
Nice.
In the whole clan. So that was, super fantastic for everybody.
Anybody first time?
Yeah, actually, we had Krigus, who is a first-time champion. He's a Town Hall 9.
Nice.
We had Big Fry. It was his first time to champion. We had Magnus, who's a Town Hall 10. It was his first time to champion. We had Bombits, who's also a Town Hall 9. It was his first time to champion.
Wow.
So we had 4.
Congratulations. And it's got to be really nice for them, too, because all of a sudden they've got 2,500 gems.
Oh, yeah. And, it was that's what it is. They would get to champion and they'd be like, ooh, gems. And I'm like, yeah, isn't it nice?
Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, and we had Dirty Pirate got there, and I'm going to forget.
I saw that.
I'm going to forget some people. I'm going to try to pull up these pictures while I'm sitting here, but I took so many screenshots.
Oh, yeah, I have a ton.
And so I know he got there, and I can't. My pictures aren't coming up. And
I know Mailman got there.
Yeah, he'd been there before.
Right.
I'm just trying to think of first time people. I think DJ got up there for the first time. I can't pull up my pictures well. I'm on this, and I was afraid to switch out in case something happens. So, and that's why a lot of people don't get as. In our clan or the people that I've talked to, don't get shouted out as much because I can't. If it's on my computer, I can't switch between programs just because we've lost stuff before. But so I'll think of those other people. Somebody else, that's the name of the person in the clan, had 6,000 donations. We had a troop donation.
Oh my God, that's awesome
contest, and so he had that, won that. And Wonder Logic won most attacks won during that season with, I believe it was 350 or something.
Oh my goodness, that's fantastic.
Yeah, so there was a lot going on, and I think what was really cool, like you brought up, is the replays.
Yeah.
I learned a ton during the push because people were sharing replays.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that was a huge part of it. And the fun thing is that we had, our own side contest. Mr. Psycho Rocker, put out a clan mail that said, for every town hall level, the person that gains the most trophies in that town hall level, I'll give a $10 iTunes card. Ooh. And then the person that gets the most overall will get a $30 iTunes card.
That's awesome.
So he put out some money for that, and that was really cool. And by the end, we had probably 25 people pushing in the clan just to see how high we could get Kent Farmhouse, because we were chasing you, and everybody in the clan was like, let's try to catch Al. And I'm like, I'm not sure it'll happen, but yeah, let's do it.
How far did you guys get?
We got to, I can't even remember. I know.
I was surprised that you guys weren't up there, but I know
we got to the one, I think 40.
Oh, okay.
So we got up there.
Yeah.
I think you guys got to 42, and at one point we were 79 or something. We were a couple.
Okay.
Couple behind you. Because
I was surprised that you didn't pass us, but I guess there were a few more of us pushing. We had a few people who just didn't push.
Right.
So there was a couple 0 scores in there. But I was surprised. But I guess we had double the number people pushing, I think, or somewhere around there.
Yeah, and you guys had a few more members than we did. You guys had a lot more members that were in Crystal.
Okay.
Crystal League than we did. We had ours basically went Champion, Masters, Crystal, and that was to maybe 22, and then it went Gold, Silver.
Yeah.
The top was really was decent, but then our mid-range wasn't as high as you guys. Had a lot more people in Crystal, so that's probably why we couldn't catch you.
And I think once we hit 200, it was the people even that weren't pushing, Mighty Buzzard joined the clan, and he said, "Hey, what's up? Oh, are you guys pushing?" And he said, "Okay, I guess I'll try climbing." And so he went up. So everybody was kind of, as we got higher in the ranks, everybody was like, okay, well, I'll try to do this. Let's try to.
The same thing happened in Kent. It was the same. Like, as soon as we got to the top 200, everybody was like, oh, that's so cool.
Yeah. And every time I came back from a raid, because it really felt like during the push, like I was leaving. Like, I'll be back. Got to go raid. And I might not come back for 20 minutes.
Yeah, I was gone for, we'd be having a conversation, and I would leave and I would come back 30 minutes and they'd be like, we thought you left. And I said, I'm sorry, I was looking for a base to attack.
I know. And it's like, so I really felt like it was, you were like going out to war. I mean, you were leaving. And so every time I came back, I'd share my replay and I'd say, once again returned victorious. Yeah. And share the replay. Even if it wasn't like the best, I was just like, okay, win. And watching those replays was cool because a lot of us were using the pig dog attacks. Mm-hmm. It's like as I was going through, I started thinking of all the things I was learning. And I know the town hall was one of them. Just like fine tuning the pig dog, going at only one inferno versus two at the same time, just to give yourself a little bit of extra, or like just steering it just a little bit, so you your balloons weren't getting hit by both infernos at the exact same time.
Yeah, and that's to be honest, that's one of the things I looked for.
Yep.
Was that the queen would either not be by the town hall. She was like out in the middle of somewhere that I could just completely avoid her or kill her really easily. Or that there was like one inferno and the other inferno wasn't overlapping that inferno, so I really would only have to deal with one at a time. Or they were like super close together and I could freeze them both at the same time.
Yeah, that was always nice because then you double your buck on that. I think there's two things that you just reminded me of. I'd use 4 pig dogs, 14 loons, and then 25 minions. Mm-hmm. I always aimed it so that the CC and the queen, if they were hitting my my balloons, that the town hall was they were on the other side of the town hall of whatever side I was going in. So that way, if my rage didn't do what it was supposed to do, or my freeze didn't do what it was supposed to do, they would drop down on the town hall. Right. And so that was like a key thing. The infernos, like in the placement with the queen and the CC, that was a key thing. But one thing I did not do, because there's so many times where I got the town hall because of my balloons. I mean, that was most of the time. Right. Was, maybe the minions would get it, but I could never count on them quite right. No. And sometimes maybe a pig dog or pup would swing back and get it. But I really use my balloons as when they got shut down or dropped, that they splash damage the TH. If it was hitting the inferno, it was going to do some damage. And the one thing, and I want to do this to my war base. I don't know if I'm going to have time to do it tonight. But I noticed that town halls with the walls around the outside, in the center, there's like the walls right around the town hall. Right. And then the infernos on the other sides of that, I would not hit those bases because the damage from the balloons would not smash the town hall. It would hit the wall. Right. And walls around the infernos, because they were always by the town hall, I would not hit those either. So the town hall had to be kind of in a grouping in the middle with no walls like immediately around the town hall. Mm-hmm. And I want to now switch my war base to have that either the town hall or the infernos, because of all the times I see, I don't get pig dogged in war, but of all the times that like the P.E.K.K.A.s get to the middle and and buying that extra couple seconds for them to have to bust through those walls around the Infernos.
Yeah.
So that's one thing I really paid attention to and started to think a lot about during the push. Is because I thought it was dumb to have walls around the town hall. Like, I was like, why are you doing that?
Yeah.
But with those loons,
it doesn't allow the loons to splash damage the town hall.
And makes a huge difference. So the push ends, and this is what was really like the point of it. Everything that we talked about, like clans come together. It is a great learning opportunity. It was so fun. A lot
of fun.
Yeah, and it was fun when we all went to that one clan. But I like this too, where it was, you're with your clan. So even people that weren't participating could learn from your replays if they were watching them or around.
Yeah.
Really active. But at the very end, we all went to the COC podcast clan. Yep. And everybody was, kind of came together, and it was a really fun atmosphere. Then the guys from Minnesota Nice came to see where we could go. And,
that was very cool.
It felt like a reunion. I mean, there could have been cake and party hats there because the atmosphere was just awesome.
It was a lot of fun.
And we all go over there, and I think it was between 3 and 8 o'clock, and we were going to record, and it just got chaotic. It was like, okay, let's see where we can go, and we're waiting for a membership to get to 50. We didn't know who was coming from the other clans,
right?
And then the guys from Minnesota Nice came and really helped bump us up because they just finished the push.
Yeah, they had a bunch of champions that came over, and we had a total of like 16 champions in the clan at one point.
It was cool.
Which was really cool.
It was awesome to see. So those guys came, and what was cool was that they were sharing some of their replays, and Papa Dragon was using a Go Arch.
Yep.
And so he was doing 2 golems.
I think it's Go Barch.
Go Barch. No, he just used golems and archers.
Archers? So Go Arch?
Yep.
Okay.
And he had, and he was in champs, and he did that all the way up. And he would take two golems and a golem in the CC, I believe. And he would drop them where the golems would
take the most fire.
Yeah, take the most splash damage fire.
Right.
And then just archer it. And he shared some of that, and really just take 50% of the base, and you could do it faster because you didn't have to brew you didn't have to use all your spells.
Right. Well, yeah, because I think he brewed all lightning. I think is what he said. All lightning, and then archers, and then 3 golems. And I've seen it in action before. I've actually seen Go Barch, not necessarily Go Arch.
Okay.
But yeah, if you follow the 40 buildings outside, Go Barch becomes pretty easy because you at that point you almost don't need to follow the 40 buildings outside, because those golems are taking so much fire that the archers and the barbarians are just mass murdering everything around
that they touch.
Those golems, yeah.
And I would like to do that. I like to have a full attack. I love that. I don't know what it is, but so they were using things that I hadn't really seen, and sharing. And these guys are like people that I was in the clan with since I started playing the game,
right?
And that started, and so it was cool for all of I think cool for all you guys to it was like, oh, you get to meet my friends, Yeah,
and it was cool because, you hear so much about Minnesota Nice over the podcast.
Yeah.
So it's cool to kind of see those people come in and you guys are discussing, and it was kind of a surreal moment. It was pretty cool.
It really was a surreal moment for me too, just because it was like, wow, I haven't seen these guys. I hadn't been in that clan for a long time, and they're great guys, and we just kind of couldn't be in 2 places at once when we started the clans. It's what it came down to, and then it was a blast. And so I think the spirit of the contest ended up being what it was, and And, I think it's going to be awesome to do more in the future.
Agreed.
And I think there's some really cool twists that we can do. Oh, this is what I wanted to ask you about. I've been putting it online or up on the website. I've been working on, the pages and the trophy push page and things. But I started calling it the Kryptonian Family Cup.
Oh, that's cool.
And so on the website now I have all the clans listed and the clan IDs, the clan tags.
Very good.
So if you are looking for, a particular Kryptonian family, and then eventually, I've linked your webpage into it.
Oh, very good.
And so eventually every clan will have their own, so they can put a more detailed clan description, have contest winners. I think that would be just awesome. And so we lost Mystic too this week.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, he went to the True Sons.
Okay.
Great attacker, and I think he was kind of looking for the next challenge. And, and so he's always, welcome back. But I said, we're going to put you, I'm going to start on the website because I was just in the beginning stages of that. Mm-hmm. I said, I'm going to create a wall of service. And so that we can put, the wall of service to L. And put people on there. And so there's some cool things you could do. And so even on the website now I put under the list, I said current holder of the Kryptonian Family Trophy Push Cup for Kent Farmhouse. Right next to your guys' stuff. So
go Kent Farmhouse.
Yeah. And so I thought that would be cool. And we can kind of have a title, but so the next push, is it going to be handed off, that type of thing. And, do kind of have a holder, and I just thought that would be fun. So I was going to kind of just ask you about the name, and we were, because you brought up in the chat when we all went to the COC podcast clan, the Warhammer.
Yeah.
And I thought that was, tell me about it.
So the Warhammer is something that Halligan from Dark Scourge brought to us. I guess it's something he used to do in his old clan, which Halligan is now part of Kent Farmhouse. So he decided to stay with us, which is very cool. Yeah, but so I guess what they used to do is after every war, they would pass out a Warhammer. And basically what it was it went to the person that did the best job in war, and not necessarily, got 6 stars or, but the person that they could see that tried the hardest, or maybe went up 10 spots and tried something new, or
when called for.
Right, exactly. When approved, not just willy-nilly,
Don't get any ideas, House of L, because we're working on a strategy here.
Right. So the first, the leader gave out the first Warhammer, and then from there, it ends up being the current holder of the Warhammer reviews the war and gives it to who they think deserves the Warhammer, and they explain why. And then we pass it off in clan chat. And then I also have a little, hammer and a muscle arm. And I put it in the clan description as well.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah. So they get their name in the clan description, until the next war and until they pass it off. So
that's a really cool idea.
It's a cool, just, little thing that we do that's kind of cheesy, but we kind of love it. We kind of love it.
And you guys started talking about it, and it was, I just thought it was a really cool idea. That's why I was like, oh, we should be doing the Kryptonian Cup. Mm-hmm. And I was trying to find something that was like a
It's a good name.
Yeah, like a Kryptonian artifact. But I thought, what, that works. But it was because of that Warhammer idea, and I want to do something like that in L, like the Warhammer. But then we just got a guy from Zod who's named Warhammer.
So you can do Halligan. They actually, in their old clan, they named it the Battle Axe.
Ooh.
So you guys could use the battle axe, but I couldn't find any emojis that looked like an axe.
Battle axe.
So we just went with Warhammer, but I think the battle axe could be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I suppose battle axe or holder or something like for an emoji. Yeah. Okay.
Or you could just do like, like a push arm and just put their name in between, but at least, people in your clan know it's called the battle axe.
Yeah. That's really cool. Okay. Yeah. We'll do that we're starting a war, in a couple hours here.
I think ours just started.
And what is your war strategy?
So our war strategy, speaking of that, it actually recently just changed. For the past, I would say about 2 months, we've kind of been testing different war strategies.
Okay.
So X plus or minus 5, attacking your equal, or X plus or minus 2, or discussing your attacks or not discuss. Like, we've been trying a bunch of different things to see kind of what, using Clash Caller, not using Clash Caller, to kind of see what the clan responds to, and what's giving us the best results. And in the end, we've come to the fact that, so our strategy now, and I think it's going to stay this way for quite a while because it seems to be what works for us, is attacks are first come, first serve in the war.
Okay.
So there is no calling attacks 16 hours before the war starts.
Yeah.
If you're, so first come, first serve, number one. Number two, all attacks have to be discussed and approved by a co-leader or an elder.
Okay.
There is no just like going in, and even co-leaders and elders have to discuss their attacks with another co-leader and elder.
Okay.
That way, if somebody has a different perspective, or if you're missing something, somebody can come and say, well, why don't you come from the south, instead of the north, like you were thinking, because it makes more sense. And so it kind of gives you two eyes on a base instead of, you may miss something. And then we also do Town Hall 8s and below. So anything below a Town Hall 8, 8 and below have to use both attacks in the first 12 hours.
Okay. And then is that like it? Are you enforcing that? Like if you don't,
I enforce it. I'm not going to boot somebody if they miss one attack in the first 12 hours, but I'm definitely going to be like, hey, the rule is, to attack within the first 12 hours.
Yeah.
And that helps. Basically, we're able to kind of 3-star all of the Town Hall 8s. And that way, in the last 12 hours, I'm only worrying about my Town Hall 9 attacks and above. I'm not having to go, oh my God, we have 7 Town Hall 8s that have not been 3-starred. Right. Are my Town Hall 8s going to attack? Or do I need to have Town Hall 9s now drop down and use an attack? So it kind of helps.
The sanity.
Right.
In fact, it was awesome. I got to meet Mailman, Matt, the Phantom Warlord, and Boaz in person. Finally,
I know that was very cool
for dinner, and it was really cool. And I showed up, and I had scratches on my forehead a little bit because I've been scratching myself in my sleep, but it was like post push, and so I was having Clash dreams. It's so. Dorky, but I remember waking up and being like, "Oh yeah, there was an attack on this," and so we like really talked about strategy, and we had kind of hashed it out a little bit at dinner, like how we wanted to do it, and so it's really good to hear. What we did this last war was do because the Phantom had infiltrated the other clan, and they used the numbers 1 through 20 are for the top 10 people.
Right.
And everybody else, 11 through 40, you go
below.
Yeah. It was a much saner war for that war. And then about 5 hours left, because I had failed an attack. Mighty went in on the same attack from a different approach. It almost had it too. Both of us were in the 40s, and almost like close to the town hall and stuff.
Sure.
It was like, well, we don't have enough attacks to get all these stars. So then we opened it up for the Town Hall 9s that weren't, that hadn't used their second attack.
Right.
Which worked like a charm because, mailman had his king down, I believe it was. And so I said, I'll take your other top attack, like do one high and then do one low. And so I'll just do 2 high ones and you can do the low ones on this one. And so he did well down there. We put stars on the board, and then there was a couple TH9s that were left that the TH9s went and picked up, once we were able to do it. And it was really good. And I think it forced the town halls, whatever level it was from, I think number 11 was a 10, but it forced everybody to go lower. And it kind of put it in a range where I think people want to try. And I think the SOAS guys are talking about this. They want to try to do better than,
right.
They really want to challenge themselves. But I think it kind of showed that even challenging yourself, because of the matchups are just tough, but even challenging yourself going lower, you can do better and get those victorious stars without having that pressure on a little bit. It's much pressure. And then it takes away cleanup, and the town hall 8s that do not, or people that don't get their attacks in, or town hall 8s that don't get them in the 12 hours and you get boxed out. Mm-hmm. Basically, it's the idea is now, if you can't do your attacks within the first 12 hours in your 8s, 7s, or if you're a 9, maybe not the 9s as much, but if you can't get it in within those first 12 hours, your schedule just might not work with ours.
Right.
And if that's the case, then there's, another clan that the war's at a different time.
Sure.
In the family or
sure.
However it goes. And so we're just kind of looking at tightening it up, tightening up L that way and saying, look, because I love when fans stop by or we start doing a war and you kind of feel like a dick for kicking people out.
Yeah, you do.
And,
I do. I know I do.
And Matt's really good about, because he's like paying attention to the record, or like, what's like the specifics, the real specifics of it.
Yeah. And we tried a whole bunch of different, strategies. You have to attack this base. You don't. Assigning bases, and it just seems to me that and right now the including our strategies, we don't give you a specific base to attack.
Right.
You have to get your attack approved by an elder and a co-leader. So if I have my 20, comes to me and says, hey, I want to attack 35, I'm going to be like, you're out of your mind. Yeah. No. Yeah. Let's find something else for you to attack. But I have Town Hall 8s that are amazing with dragons and rage or hogs, and they can go up to 14.
Right.
I have 14s, which are high Town Hall 8s that can't attack for shit. I'm not going to name them because I love them to death. Yeah. But, I don't want them attacking that base. I want them to go lower. So, and that way I'm able to kind of keep track of.
And see, I think you're really onto something, and it brings me back to the one thing I sent before I went to that dinner with them. I just said, I think we just came off a hard war. Things just didn't go right, and basically, I just said we've got to figure out, define who we are as a clan,
right?
Tighten up, and like go forward. And so, like, we're a more casual war clan. Like, the approval, we don't say, like, you have to be approved, but it's kind of implicit. Like, you should be calling and asking for advice. And I think what it comes down to is if you go in for an attack and you haven't, like, talked about your attack or asked for advice and you fail, you basically just get looked at as bad.
Right.
Because if you've worked through it with us, we know that you've been thinking about it. You've been putting thought into it. You've asked, questions. And I might not know the answer. Like somebody was asking about hogs, Dizzy Devil was asking about hogs on a TH8 base. And I'm like, I don't know if I could hog, or I don't know if you could hog that because I'm not used to TH8 troops.
Right.
And I'm not used, to the level and attacking them in war because a different game, than when I was there.
Oh, completely.
And so I was like, I think there's going to be some double bombs down here. This is what I didn't say on this one. I didn't give any suggestions. I said, I don't think that's a really good hoggable base. I said, but you should ask the other hog attackers. And knowing when people are like looking at the base, and putting thought into it. And then if you don't perform, that's not such a big deal because you have just worked through a strategy. You've tried it out.
Yeah. At least you tried and you discussed it.
Yeah. And I've even been doing that. I've been saying, okay, I'm going to, because you mentioned that even like the leaders and co-leaders or co-leaders, I think us TH10s having to focus, in wars on certain other aspects of it, where people go, we end up just at the last minute going, okay, we're going to attack here. We're going to attack, just to get the stars or
right.
And this gave us a little bit more time to say, okay, I'm going to attack this person. I'm thinking about doing this. And I got some advice, and I'm like, okay, yeah. Or just somebody said this and I'm like, okay, yeah, maybe that's not the base for me.
Right.
And so I, as a leader, I still have to remind myself, okay, you need to ask for advice too, because people are going to be able to see things that I can't see.
Right. Exactly. Some people have a better, and to be completely honest, I am not the best strategic person I don't look at a base and go, okay, I need 4 balloons here and I need 3 balloons here and I need, 7 balloons coming from the north and I need 6 wizards behind this one golem right at this 45-degree angle. Like, that's not me. I cannot do that on a base. And like props to One Hive and, everybody, people that can do that, props to them.
Yeah.
And I have people in my clan, we have Magnus who consistently, he's generally like number 4 or 5, but he's a Town Hall 10 and his equal is normally a high level Town Hall 9. And he's always 3-starring them. And he uses this weird combination of, I think it's go wee wee, but with balloons.
Okay.
So he like, I think it might be, it could be, he like goes into the middle with the go wipe troops, like takes out,
okay, I see what you're saying.
Takes out the entire middle of the base. And then while, they're kind of trying to shoot their way out, he sends balloons, like 3 or 4 balloons on each corner that takes out the outlying defenses.
Okay.
So then they're not shooting in at the troops. And like I think he's 2 wars in a row with 6 stars.
Nice.
And it's been super impressive to watch.
Yeah, and even our 9s, like I'm thinking of, and I'm sorry, people, House of L, when we get into the podcast, and it's like there's 1,000 because there's 3 wars usually between when I talk about stuff or, but like Bazinga, who's a co-leader, and Sasquatch, who is who I want to have on one of these days. We just kind of talked about it. We were, I was listening to him on the SOAS, and the 9s and kind of that type of thing. But, our 9s have a really hard job, I think. Yeah. Of having to like, maybe for like, elite clans that are just super planned and that's just not the way I work. It's our clan culture, it's like I love watching those attacks and seeing and learning from those because you can learn from any town hall that can think strategically about it, figure out the right combo of troops. I like to go with what I know a little bit better because I know how to plan for when things go wrong. Sure. But I'm thinking of like Bazinga and Sasquatch who kind of go in there. And they might be, they just run out of time. A lot of times. I think with the 9s, it comes down to if you lure the CC, that might be the...
You've got to do it quick.
Yeah, the 97 to 99%. And they come back and it's like, they're like, shit, and I'm like, hey, that was a good attack.
That was a super solid attack, except the lure took the first minute.
Or something just went wrong and they would have had the hogs, but it's just an act of God, or where the trap is that you just couldn't really account for. And so it's really cool to see that, and to we really have good attack, but I think that the Nines have a hard job, and
I have to say I think the Nines have the hardest job in war over anybody. I think 8s, you've got a couple attacks there that are super solid, and unless a base has really high air defenses and is super spread out, most Town Hall 8s, I'm not going to say it's easy. I'm not going to say it's totally doable. Yeah, because
I'm going to go talk with Botox later tonight on a confab.
Because I don't think it's easy at all to do it, especially for people who are not in constant war clans and they're just trying to figure out these attacks. But it's doable.
Yeah,
I've seen it's definitely doable.
I think all things being equal.
Right.
Yeah, maybe.
Right. But then Town Hall 9s going against Town Hall 9s, I kind of expect you, I don't expect you to 3-star base, but I know it's doable, but it's a lot harder. And then Town Hall 10s.
And I think the 9s make it look easy sometimes.
They do. And I think Town Hall 10s, nobody expects a Town Hall 10 to 3-star a Town Hall 10.
No.
If it's done, it's a freaking miracle.
Yeah, I agree. At this point in the game,
if it's a 2-star, winner, chicken dinner. If it's a 1-star, okay.
Yeah. It's like, we got the XP, the higher XP for that now.
Right.
And we're even like with the last war I went up. Was it the last war or the war before? 2 wars ago. We were down to it. We had lost. And I'm like, you know what? Now it's like, is it an XP war? We're in the last 2 hours of the battle. It's like, well, we can't get the points, so we're going to do XP. And I put together my giant Valk army and put a star on the top base. And it was like, okay, we got the XP. We can play the wars a little bit differently than we used to. Instead of trying to go for at that point in the war, it's like, instead of trying to get the math when it just is probably not going to happen. I mean, it's really fundamentally we can't win it,
Yeah, and I think wars are generally won in the Town Hall 9, high Town Hall 8 level.
Yeah.
I think that's where it's won. If you have a lot of those 3-starred and 2-starred, you're generally going to win the war.
Because if I'm looking at an 8 that hasn't been, most of the time, every so often there's a low base, and I think that's why the new strategy helps a little bit. But if I'm looking at a 9 and saying, okay, I could probably 3-star. I wonder if I'm going to have to, brew the spells.
Sure.
But that's the point where you're or if there's 1 star left, it's I'd rather take the chance on a 2 on a 10.
Right. I would almost too. Yeah.
Unless it is super down to the wire. But at that point,
especially if it's a high level 9, high walls, high heroes, high air defenses, maxed expos, they're on air and ground. I'm looking at it going, I probably I might pull off a 3-star, but the likelihood, because in war I feel something always goes wrong on my attack.
Yeah.
I'm not going to 3-star. I'm going to lose the star, and I'm going to feel like a complete idiot.
Yeah. And so when you're grasping for the 3rd, I don't care if you're a Town Hall 8 against a Town Hall 8, you're working for that percentage to that star. I mean, I think I think good attackers make it look easy.
Absolutely.
Or, it would just, and when I have a good attack, I look at the replay, I'm like, ooh, that guy knew what he was, it's me.
Oh, that's me.
Yeah. I mean, because it was it's all chaos, and you're I got that, how I wanted to. I adjusted. It was not completely planned how it went,
Right.
But when you're grasping for that 3rd star on a 9, as a 10, it's a gamble,
Yeah.
For me, anyways. I know that some people can maybe just go in and do it without not thinking about it, but yeah. So sometimes I think you're right. Town Hall 9s, I think, probably have the hardest job because of where they should hit.
Right.
Do I go lower and clean up? Do the 8s, or they kind of get stuck in that sandwich.
Because Town Hall 8s can 3-star each other. Town Hall 9s, not necessarily.
Right.
It is not an easy thing to 3-star a Town Hall 9 as a Town Hall 9. It takes a lot of strategy and practice, and
you've got less troop space. You've got less spell than the TH 10.
Right.
But I think it's a TH 10, and I think we get into this with Boaz too, or we did before, but just that, I think it's expected that if you go lower, you're going to be able to just easily clean up. But I think with the difference between a 10 and a 9, maybe a 10 who's been around for a long time, things have changed a lot in this game since I was a 9. For one thing, so using a 9 army is different. But I'm used to working with different spells because I'm used to 10s. I'm used to, in regular battle, so I'm used to Infernos. And so
I'm used to having to have a freeze.
Yeah, used to having a freeze, how it'll work with this spell. And so for me to practice in the wild, as Mailman calls it, I think that's hilarious.
Yeah, that's great.
I have to go to a different trophy level. And so so sometimes, in the wild, it's okay, ooh, a 9, that's awesome, But of course, a lot of the bases that if I saw in the wild, I would just go up and hit it. You've got the best CC troops, war CC troops in there. Mm-hmm. Storages are placed different than if it was in the wild. Those type of things. All those factors come together. So I'm not used to attacking Town Hall 9s very often.
No, me neither. And I'm not, I'm used to being able to use freeze and I don't generally use heal. And I know that Town Hall 9s like their heal and rage. They like those, and I don't typically use heal for anything. I use rage, or if I'm ballooning, I use rage and freeze if I use anything at all, or I use lightning if I'm barching.
Okay.
So I don't, I haven't touched a heal spell in forever. So then when I'm going up against a Town Hall 9, I'm like, well, guys, I've got 2 freeze. Yeah. I've got 3 rage. And they're dump your freeze.
I had made that mistake so many times. And then I asked, and Mystic, I think it was Mystic, said, take 4 rage. And we were kind of debating it, 4 rage and a heal.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I've been using freeze. I'm like, I'll just freeze these things. And then, the spells really
make a difference.
Yeah. And I know that, logically, but I'm like, well, instead of a heal on these, normally I'll freeze this and that'll keep them. But hitting those different style bases, and maybe it's because the type of clans we are too, where we have a wide range. So if we're gonna hit, we might have to hit in the 9s, and in our position in the clans is a 10, and we, being variable,
right,
and where we go. So yeah, it's a strange world, and it keeps changing, and are you guys seeing a lot of level 40 heroes
in war?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
We get, the funny thing is we get pretty even matchups lately.
Okay.
It's been taking, the first go around, we don't have to stop and restart the war. Even number of town halls. So they have 3, we have 3, town hall 10s. They have, 9 town hall 9s. We have 9 town hall 9s. And generally it's all pretty even.
Okay.
Same level heroes.
Our
Sometimes they're a little higher.
Our THs are almost spot on, but we're seeing usually at least a couple bases have level 40 heroes.
Yeah, we don't let's see, this war we're in right now. We've got 4 Town Hall 10s to their 3.
Okay.
Their number 1, which is Major Painkiller, we're going up against Carolina Clash. So shout out to them if they're listening.
Except for Kent Farmhouse is going to win.
Right. I mean, we're losing right now, but we're in the first 5 minutes of war. So people are discussing their attacks. But their first base is Major Painkiller, and he's got a level 23 king and a level 25 queen. Number 2 has got a 20, so 20 heroes. And 3 has 19 and 15, 19 king, 15 queen. Our number 1 is Tyclone, and he's got 2019 for his heroes.
Okay.
And we have our Cooper Katie, who has 20 heroes.
So they can see really well.
So yeah, exactly. They have
2020.
perfect vision to that town hall.
Oh, you know what? And you just reminded me of this. It's something that never occurred to me, and I don't know why it did. We were in the chat or something, and my queen is 18. She's legal.
She's legal.
Yep. So
she can't drink
Deb,
yet, but she's legal.
Deb, she's running at 18.
All right.
Well,
now it's time to make her work.
I know. Well, my king's still at 15, so it's a little statutory stuff going on there.
Little creepiness happening there.
Making a list in my head of all the things I want to talk, because we're going to talk, and Boneyard, same thing with him this week was we were going to record Monday, and then it got pushed to Thursday, and it's been kind of crazy. But
life happens.
So should we talk about the Kratos Fund?
We can. I can mention it real quick. Okay. Go ahead.
Did we get through everything that we're talking about with the war? Your war now? I mean, I just don't... Like the matchup, the 20s, Okay.
Yeah. No, we got through everything there. So, a while back, I guess, Kratos' cousin had a house fire. And they lost everything they owned. They lost a puppy that they got, and his cousin's pregnant, and they're due, I believe, in August. So Kratos and a couple of us set up a fund for them, so anybody can go kind of donate and get them back on their feet.
And apologies to Kratos and everybody, because we did part of an episode, and then a bunch of stuff happened with the push things, and we kind of we said it was before all of the stuff started, and we wanted to kind of do it again,
right?
Or just kind of just talk again, because it was could have been misunderstood. So we just were like, so that and
we do.
And that unfortunately didn't get up because of that.
Right.
Because that was at the very end that we talked about it. So where can anybody that wants to help?
So if you want to help, you can go there. It's a GoFundMe campaign. So you can go to GoFundMe and type in Kratos' Cousins Fire Fund. Or you can go directly to the link on the website, and that's www.gofundme.com/006LIO.
Okay.
And that'll take you straight to it.
Kratos.
That's right.
And speaking of which, also, so, everybody in the family, we want to put it out there just so that if anybody wants to help, come on and
go ahead and
help. And he had asked me to do a shout out here. He actually came over to House of L, Son of Kratos.
I believe he did. Yeah.
And so it's cool to have him around, and I think he's going to stay for a little bit.
Wasn't he originally in L?
Yeah,
Kratos.
and here's
he was originally an L, wasn't he?
I believe so. And here's why it's like the early days of L are kind of, they run together with Zod for me, because we had started Zod and then L like 3 weeks later. So I forget who was in the original Zod and who was in the original L, because at that time a lot of people moved back and forth.
Right.
So it was like, oh, this person's here, and then all of a sudden then they're in Zod and then they're back, or it was vice versa. So
yeah, I think I remember him being in L when I first came into L.
Yeah. And see, I barely remember you being there. I mean, because it's been a long time. I wasn't there
for very long. Yeah, I was probably only in L for 3 weeks. And then I think Kent Farmhouse was created. Yep. And I was, I've always been a farmer. So I remember going like, guys, I really like you, but this war schedule just is not for me. And I don't want to lose a war based on, attacks that I can't do. So I ended up going over to Kent, and then I've stayed mainly in Kent, but I take my alt and sometimes I take my main, and I kind of fly around to the different families and say hi.
Yeah.
Occasionally.
The one thing Boneyard did leave out about that push was you did offer to push with your second account in.
I did.
In Zod. And I think you'd have probably given it a fair shot.
Yes, I would not have cheated, which I feel like he kind of implied that I was not going to push.
I was like, well, it was anybody who wanted to.
And I was like, hey, I'm totally up for it. Like I don't think my mini's ever gone above like silver 1. Yeah. I was totally willing to do it. I've never pushed as a Town Hall 7.
And it was more like, and what I read into that at that point was because Boneyard said nobody else wanted to push. And actually, if I would go back and look at the rules, it does say, if you want to push, if you want to be involved, tell your leadership. And you told him. And it didn't say it can't be a second account.
Nope.
So we should have done that, and then you should have dropped all the way down.
All the way to 0.
Because that's what Boneyard would have done.
Take it.
I'm going to put that in the rules for next time.
Listen, I'm not gonna say anything.
No,
Boneyard
as we talk,
had a good plan.
Yeah, as we talk, it's like, oh yeah, wait, we didn't talk about that last night.
Right.
Or we didn't. I forgot that this happened.
Yeah, I did. I offered to push with my alt, and I remember him saying something along the lines of, "I'm not going to have a leaders of another clan's alt like come in and push." And I was like, "All right." I mean,
and if I would have boneyarded the rules at that point, I would have said that is not part of the rules.
She can push if she wants.
Yeah, it says contact your leadership. Tell them that you want to be involved. Anyways, so that was part of. I'm just trying to give everybody the full story.
That's right.
But I have to change that for the next push in the rules. Because Boneyard would do that. He would get player 1 into one of the clans, and so remind me to do that.
Yeah, I'm closing the clan, Boneyard.
Like how would Boneyard do this?
No player 1 in Kent.
Okay, so a shout out to Gwen in House of Non for winning the donation challenge, $25.
Oh, cool.
And
there was a donation challenge?
Yeah, he didn't give me the specifics, but he wanted me to shout out Gwen for winning the donation challenge.
Congratulations, Gwen.
Congratulations. Rock
Yay.
on. And
keep on donating.
That goes for, I'll do the shout outs as I can on the podcast when any contests go on.
Oh, you know who I want to shout out? Can I shout out somebody?
Yeah.
I want to shout out, so we were doing the push. I'm going to kind of explain why I'm shouting this person out. We were doing the push, and there was a random join request. And as the Kryptonian family knows, people in it, we don't accept random requests.
Right.
You have to have some form of fan in the stands or Kryptonian family kind of slang. You have to have some form of that in your join message to get approved to come into the clan. However, so this person sent in and I think they might have saw somebody on a global, because I think at that point we're like all trolling global with our new pretty shields. And but he posted a message that said, I have been pushing myself all day to get up to 1,200 trophies so I could join this awesome clan.
Oh my God.
And I went, and he was rejected. And I went, and I came on and I saw that, and he was a Town Hall 5.
Holy.
Town Hall 5. And it may have been 1,200 trophies or 1,600 trophies. It may have been 1,600 trophies. I can't remember exactly. But I accepted him. And I was really impressed. And his name is Urban Meyer. And he's still in the clan. He's hilarious. We kind of adore him.
Oh,
and
yeah, he's in the KFAM chat.
Yeah. And he was kind of a random, and he stuck around, and we really like him. So congrats, Urban Meyer. Yeah.
Yeah,
Good join message. I dug that. I thought that was awesome.
That's cool.
Town Hall 5. He's like, I've been pushing all morning to try and get in this clan. And I was like, dude, props to you, because when I was like, my main was a Town Hall 8, getting to 1250 was like, could not do it.
Yeah.
Like, so as a Town Hall 5, that's pretty awesome.
And because Boneyard did talk about that on last night's too, like about, we do have sometimes people who come on who aren't necessarily fans, and then we say, and it's not an ego thing. It really is not. It's not like, but I think what it is that, you kind of look for a climate of
right.
chat, something that, like, what's really nice is that I get to explain my thoughts on, war strategy, things like that. And, but you attract like-minded people then,
right.
The type of people who listen to the podcast obviously are people
and you kind of already have something in common.
Yeah. You have that in common. And you also somebody who's listening to the podcast probably likes Clash and is not
probably pretty serious.
You can kind of bet on them.
Right.
So that's why it's not an ego thing at all.
No, not at all. And the cool thing is now Urban listens to the podcast. So.
Yeah, and that's awesome. And
very cool.
And that's the thing about the family too, is if you try one of the houses and it's not a fit and you're just not, you can go try like Kent Farmhouse. You kind of like, they've got 4 town halls. You said 8 town hall 10s.
Oh, well, that's just in war.
In war.
Yeah, we have a bunch we're only in a 25 V25 war. And we're full up at 50. Yeah. So half of our people aren't even warring. I think we've probably got 8 Town Hall 10s.
Do you get a lot of opt-outs?
About half generally. We generally war with 25 or about 20 to 30 people. So in each war.
I didn't think about this, but you guys really benefited because Kent Farmhouse was meant to be a farming clan originally. Mm-hmm. You did the mandatory war,
right?
Kind of with participation to help with that,
right?
But now you get the opt-out, opt-in feature into your clan. Mm-hmm. That kind of helps Kent be what it is. Like
it gives us the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
So we war 3 times a week now. So we do Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday around 2 to 4 p.m. So the Tuesday and Thursday wars are pretty serious. The Saturday war is more, we have a bunch of people participate. There's really no pressure. We want you to try out a new attack. So if you normally use Dragons and Rage, I want you to use Hogs and Heal. If you normally do Lava Lunion, I want you to try a Go Wipe. Or, try something new so that you're not just stuck to one attack strategy.
Okay.
So that's kind of what Saturday War is about.
Cool.
And then, half the clan farms. And it's cool because we generally have a couple Town Hall 10s so we can get all the war castles filled. But then, we have people and elders and co-leaders who aren't necessarily in the war, but they're helping with war strategies and they're approving war attacks.
Okay.
So, it's a cool dynamic, and you get to see, people that, if your hero is down and you don't want to do one more, you can opt out, but you can kind of still see the replays and the strategies of how people are doing in the war.
That's cool. I just never thought about it, because I think we're kind of tuning into being like a little bit more serious war clan. Mm-hmm. I mean, because the opt-in, opt-out gives us a few more tools, but our fun wars have become XP. I think that'll be a little bit different, but I never thought about it in terms of what it meant for Kent. But basically, it just to say that there's a place in the family for, anybody
sure.
who's interested, and whether it's house and on, pure farming. But, well, we're at about an hour and a half, so we should probably get anything else that you want to add. I know. Not
that I can think of. I'm sure there's something that I'm missing, but I cannot.
We can always
remember.
We'll record again. So.
Yes, I'm sure we will.
So get a hold of us at WBSN2 Radio and at NFugate.
NFUGATE is my Twitter handle.
His boy says Fugati.
Fugati.
It is a good way to remember it.
It is.
ClashClansPodcast@gmail.com, ClashClansPodcast.com. You can go there for a full list of the Kryptonian family and the clan ID tags.
Very cool.
If you're having problems, it might be a 0 or an O. That might be the problem, because in the clan description, in the tags, you can't tell if it's a 0 or an O.
Yeah, that's true.
And I just realized that today. So you can see a full list there. Kent Farmhouse has the web link working. So, and 42427 Clash. So we'll be back with more episodes. I'm going to be doing a talk tonight with Botox, which you'll find on the SOAS channel, about TH8, whether or not it should be an easy thing, or is an easy thing.
Sure.
And I'm interested to see what everybody else has to say. So, so keep it clashy, everybody. Nat, thank you for being here. Natalia,
thank you for having me again. You're welcome.
I call you Nat all the time, but it's Natalia.
Hey, Nat is fine.
Yeah.
I don't mind
easy.
Nat.
It's
easy. Everybody calls me Nat on chat.
Okay.
So it's Nat as I never liked being called Nat in school. Because that summer, I think we had learned about Gnat the little bug.
Oh, okay.
And so I never enjoyed
G-Nat.
that. G-Nat, yes. But now that I'm older, I'm like, I could really give two shits.
It's a lot less typing.
Yes. And my middle name, thank God I didn't use my middle name. So.
Some people have been calling me 827, which I'm like, well, that actually works.
That
good.
Works just fine.
Thanks for being here, and thanks for everything you do with the family. And
of course.
All the work on the push. You did all the calculations, and it was awesome.
You're welcome. Thank you.
We'll keep it clashy.
You too.
Skilly beep beep beep.